Wall Street closed flat on Tuesday, this despite an interest rate hike in China and another downgrade for Portugal. Throughout most of the session, a lot of investors' eyes were on the minutes from the latest Fed policy setting meeting in March. There were no real surprises. We heard it saw confirmed that some Fed officials feel that interest rates should rise before the end of next year if inflationary pressures continue to mount, and that the QE2 program, the $600 billion bond buying program, should be cut short, again, if we see some of those more inflationary pressures. When it comes to tech, there's a lot of action in the sector. Texas Instruments was higher, this after it was announcing that it would be acquiring National Semiconductor for $6.5 billion. That's a 78% premium. But analysts believe the deal makes a lot of sense, and that's why the stock was higher. We saw some other microchip companies like NVIDIA and Marvell get a boost to their stocks on the back of this news, on the expectation that we'll see more consolidation in the sector. Now, Apple was actually trading on the downside on the day. This after it was announced that its weightage in the NASDAQ 100 would be cut from 20% to roughly 12%. This means that the index tracking funds will have to sell their Apple stock to better reflect the new composition of the NASDAQ. At the same time, Microsoft and Intel, they saw their weightage increase in the NASDAQ 100, and that's why we saw their stocks rise. When it comes to economic data, we saw that according to the Institute for Supply Management, the services sector continued to expand in the month of March, but the pace of expansion slowed for the first time in 7 months. This is of concern because the services sector accounts for 90% of the labor market in the U.S. Let's take a look at the closing numbers. The Dow is essentially flat with a loss of 6 points, closing at 12,393. S&P 500 also flat, closing in the red. NASDAQ managed to close in the green, but only marginally. As far as Indian ADRs are concerned, they mainly closed higher, with the biggest gains for Tech. And that's a look at some of the action on Wall Street. In New York, I'm Reuters reporter Karina Huber for ET Now.